from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, March 17th. Okay, so we enter into the day with the moon void, of course, in this Libra energy. Of course, we kind of slipped into this void yesterday, March 16th at 5:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it has been a chunk of time that we've been in this void. And of course, things get shaky, unstable, uncertain. And on top of the Libra energy that is flip-floppy and kind of indecisive anyways, there has been a lot stirring in our emotional realm. Now, the good news is that we're locking into Scorpio energy at 3:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you that are like, oh, Scorpio energy, that's not a good thing. Well, I hate to tell you, but it is a beautiful thing because it's going to help us process and integrate the shadow work that we've been doing since the beginning of Pisces season. And realistically speaking, since we entered into this astrological calendar this time last year. We are closing out Pisces season. We are closing out the old astrological calendar this week. And as the moon shifts into the Scorpio energy and things get intense and things get deep, and we definitely start flipping tables in order to reveal the hidden fears, doubts, and insecurities that are still alive and well within us, the Pisces energy, the sun being in the final degrees of this Pisces energy, going to help the major change, the major transformation taking place in our soul space, preparing us for this realignment, this recalibration, this renewal, this resurrection of our soul and our spirit popping off when the sun shifts into Aries energy, triggering that equinox, triggering the rebalancing of those karmic scales, and allowing us to emerge from this dark space, this void, as this new version of self. So we have to lean in to the emotions, to the processing, to the change, to the transformation, to the shadow work here over the next couple of days, because this is the final hurrah. Now, that being said, if you haven't listened to this week's Ascension forecast as of yet, I'm going to recommend you do so. We're in for a banger of a week. The energies are going to be accelerating. They're rapidly shifting. There is an intensity coming at us. We have so many things popping off here this week, and it's definitely going to do a number on the physical form. You want to stay ahead of the game. So listen to the Ascension forecast so that you're not taken off guard, that you're not taken by surprise. We have to have control over our thoughts, over our emotions, over our energy, over our actions. And the only way to do that is to stay ahead of the game. Now, side note, if you need a little bit more assistance with this ascension journey, jump over to my Patreon. We do a day-by-day, play-by-play with the ascension symptoms popping off due to the daily energies that are popping off. And of course, if you don't want to come over to Patreon, you can go to my website, download the weekly ascension guide that is going to give you that day-by-day, play-by-play for the week coming at us, so that again, you can stand in your power, you're not being taken off guard, and you can do the best that you possibly can to stay in alignment with these energies. Now, all of that being said, there are 13 different aspects popping off here today, which is a relatively busy day in the cosmos, and 11 of those aspects are going to involve the moon. So before I jump into, all of the things, I just want to talk about the transition out of the Libra energy into the Scorpio energy. So of course, with the moon in Libra, we're looking to find peace, harmony, balance, compromise. We're looking to find a middle ground. We're looking to find a lot of happiness and joy out of the changes that, of course, have been put upon us, especially in this eclipse season that we are now in. We have to consider the fact that Mercury just went retrograde. So there is this reflection, this reprocessing between our heart and our head. Venus is already in the underworld. Mercury is kind of retracing her steps to meet her in the underworld so that the heart and head can go through this last final recalibration and again emerge on the other side of it as this higher version of self. So with the transition out of the Libra energy to Scorpio energy, first of all, it's always felt. This is why Scorpio energy is semi-feared by most of the collective, because we go from trying to stay in the shallow end of our thoughts and our emotions, trying to kind of focus on the silver linings, the rainbows and butterflies in that Libra energy, and we get thrown into the deep end, and we are sinking like a rock, okay? Because we have to get to the bottom of the truth, of the pain, of the trauma, of the fears, of the doubts, of the insecurities, because those particular shadow parts of self are holding us up. They're holding back the process of this major shift, this major change, this major transformation. So it is very intense. We're moving from an air sign, again, all up in the headspace, to a water sign, again, all up in the feels. And we're moving out of a cardinal energy that Libra energy is, which is kind of, initiating, if you will, where the rebalancing act has to take place in our realms and in our heart and head alignment. And then we're moving into a fixed energy that Scorpio energy is, which is a stabilizer. So it definitely feels like we are essentially diving into the deep end and we hit the bottom of the pool, so to speak, and we bounce up and then we realize, oh Lord, there's a lot for me to explore here. So yes, the transition is very intense, definitely palpable. We're definitely going to go through it. We're still in Pisces season. There's still a huge amount of water energy in this elemental energy profile here in the final days of Pisces season, which means that there's a lot of tossing back and forth in this emotional ocean that we have been in for this last month. Okay, so that being said, we jump into the day. The moon is still in the void. We're still in Libra energy, and the moon is going to make a beautiful interaction with Saturn. Saturn being the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline. He is in Pisces energy, trying to dissolve the old world, trying to deconstruct the false belief system that the old version of self was very much in alignment with, and therefore built the old realm, the old reality out of said belief system. We are looking to deconstruct and dissolve the old world. Now, the moon interacting with Mr. Saturn, lucky for us, this is a beautiful interaction. So we're not getting a harsh reality check. What we're getting is a sobering energy to help us see where it is that the chaos, the craziness is still alive and well in our physical realms, and what actually needs to be balanced out, what actually needs a brand new structure. So this is kind of bossing us up, making us a little bit somber, a little bit more serious, but at the same time could be a lot worse if this was a tough interaction. And so again, there is this recognizing of the parts of self, the parts of our physical realm that are still kind of disorganized, still kind of creating an imbalance in our physical realms and in our inner realm. And this is the area of focus that we need to hone in on in order to stabilize. The moon in the void in Libra energy is then going to make a very awkward interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who of course is in Gemini energy. So yes, this is air on air action, but it's an uncomfortable air on air action, which means that our headspace is kind of divided into multiple compartments at this particular point in time. Of course, the Libra energy is divided, the Gemini energy is divided. We're always trying to play devil's advocate, weighing the pros and cons of every single situation that is kind of, in our faces at this particular point in time. Jupiter wants us to grow. He wants us to evolve. He wants us to expand on old thoughts, old ideas, old wisdom, old knowledge. But right now we're confused as F. Mostly because, again, in this Libra energy, we are creating anxieties that don't need to be there. We are indecisive, flip-flopping back and forth. We are looking outside of ourselves for validation, for confirmation, for thoughts, ideas, and opinions, which of course we cannot do because other people aren't walking this path. Other people aren't living this journey. And so the Libra energy, again, looks outside of themselves for guidance. And the Gemini energy says, nuh-uh, I have all the information, all the brilliance I need. I don't need anybody's thoughts, ideas, and opinions. I have everything I need within me. So there is definitely a conflict going on. There's a lot of mental chatter. There's a lot of intensity going on because we feel like we have to make a decision. And of course, we're in this eclipse gateway. There's no decisions to be made, mostly because, again, we're not in power. We're not in control. We're at the mercy of the cosmos, of the universe. We are about to get sorted out, put upon the path that we failed to put ourselves upon. And so we think that there's an urgency. We think that there's a decision to be made. Therefore, we're applying pressure that doesn't need to be there, and we're making a mess of our headspace. The moon in the void in this Libra energy, then going to make a very uncomfortable interaction with Neptune. Neptune, of course, in Pisces in his rulership. This means that the moon is in the final degrees of Libra energy because, of course, Neptune is in the 29th critical crisis degree of Pisces energy. And so this interaction going to add another level of confusion, going to add another level of delusion. When Neptune is being aspected in not the greatest way, we get so overwhelmed, overstimulated, especially emotionally speaking. The thoughts, the ideas, the intuitive insights are just a swirling. We are so overwhelmed at this particular point in time that Neptune wants to curl up in a ball. He wants us to just live in la land until this particular, chapter passes. And of course, we can't do that. We're in a very important time that needs our 100% awareness. And because of this, emotionally speaking, we are kind of, again, creating more of a shitstorm in our inner realm than there needs to be. The good news is this is the last aspect that is going to be made with the moon in this void, in this Libra energy, because 3:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we shift into that Scorpio energy. And we're going to sit in that for, the better part of the morning, meaning we are going to need to acclimate to that particular intensity. There's going to be a heaviness and a weight to start the day in, even though we have some beautiful aspects popping off with the moon in Scorpio. The intensity of our emotional realm is something that most people dislike very greatly. And of course, run away from and avoid. And we cannot be doing that at this particular point in time. So we shift into the Scorpio energy, 3:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10:04 a.m. We have the moon in Scorpio energy making a beautiful interaction with the sun in Pisces. So let's talk about it. First of all, this is water on water action. Water on water action, first of all, cleanses us, purifies us, removes the junk and the gunk that we've been sitting in. Then it refreshes, renews our soul and our spirit. It fine-tunes our intuition. We are hypersensitive. We are picking up on all of the energies. And of course, any time that the sun and the moon are coming together, there's going to be an aha moment. There's going to be an epiphany. There's going to be a light bulb moment on what we want, what we need, what we desire, and what we have to do to get it. With Scorpio energy and Pisces energy, very, very deep in the depths of our emotional realm, we are definitely realizing again that we're in an ending and a closure chapter, that we are again feeling the better parts of the Pisces energy as we close out the season, which means that this is a epiphany, a realization of what our higher self needs us to do, needs us to pursue, what is blocking us from doing that. And therefore, that particular realization goes on the to-do list of the endings and closures, while the realization of what we want, need, and desire goes on the to-do list of what we want to do and what we want to pursue. Now, only about, let's say, 7 minutes later, the moon in Scorpio energy, going to get into the boxing ring, square off with, here's the kicker, Pluto. Pluto rules over that Scorpio energy, so this is never fun when we're interacting with the ruler of the energy that the moon is currently in. Pluto, of course, the great transformer in Aquarius energy. We get this square because Scorpio, Aquarius, they're both fixed signs. A square highlights the tension and the conflict that we're going through, because a square means that we're going through some growing pains. This is a dark part, okay? This is when we are coming out of that sun and moon realization of what we want, need, and desire and what we have to do to get it. And suddenly we are overwhelmed, okay? We are overwhelmed with the fear that we are holding in our mind space, in our heart space, and likely in our physical bodies, what we're holding on to and what therefore is blocking us. So Pluto is going to take us down a little bit of a trip down memory lane. It is going to be a refresher of the darker parts in order for us to realize where it is that we can continue to be the victim. We are in Pisces season. That does highlight the victimhood mentality. It does highlight where we come up with excuses, justifications on why it is that we're not going to boss up, why we're not going to do all the things that we know that we need to do. We come up with a pretty sad sob story, if I do say so myself. But here's the thing. We have to become aware of this particular narrative, aware of the feelings in order to shift them, to change them, to transform them. This is what Pluto does. This is what Scorpio energy does. So we are basically going on a little bit of a road trip into the darkest parts of self in order for us to see ourselves from a different set of eyes, in order for us to see ourselves through a different lens, so that, again, we then have the choice on whether or not we're going to stay in a fixated spot of complaining, of victimhood mentality, or we're going to choose to boss up and override it. Now, 11 minutes later, so again, this is a very rapid processing, okay? This is an accelerated point this week as we kind of are getting sucked into this equinox energy. The moon in Scorpio energy then going to make a beautiful interaction with the North Node in Pisces. So again, this is water on water action, but that North Node in Pisces is showing us the future path that we need to get on, the mission, the purpose, the goal, the vision, the dream that our higher self is very inspired for us to pursue. And at this particular point in time, we're overriding the negative narrative. We're overriding those fears, those doubts, those insecurities, the darkest parts inside of us, because the vision of what could possibly be if we just got our shit together and poured as much time, energy, and effort into doing the hard things as we did to run away from them, we could have a beautiful realm and reality in no time at all. So this is going to show us, again, the water energy, refreshing us, renewing our soul and our spirit, really revamping the whole perspective that we have and putting us in a situation to get hella focused on what we need to do, emotionally speaking, to override some of those fear narratives and put us in a situation of empowerment. We sit in that energy for a couple of hours. Here's the most beautiful thing of the day, in my opinion. 1:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the sun in Pisces energy, and again, we're kind of nearing the final degrees here, is coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with, conjuncting the North Node in Pisces. So first of all, conjunction is a reset. And this is going to put us in I'm going to say, the proper mood and attitude, if you will, to see life as an adventure, to see the challenges in front of us as an option and an opportunity to grow, to improve, to evolve, especially to gain some, I'm going to say, distance, closer distance to actually being able to take action towards our new goals, visions, and dreams. So this is a lot of feels, okay? I'm not trying to dumb this down. There's a lot of feels. Even the good feels are overwhelming. And so the want, need, and desire to truly express ourselves, to really get a lot of the thoughts, the ideas out of our body and out into the external realm. There is this real desire, if you will, to again be inspired and to inspire other people. This is the positive part of the Pisces energy. And so we are feeling hella in alignment, okay? We're feeling supported. We're feeling encouraged. We're feeling like we have what it takes to do all of the hard things that need to be done in order to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. Here's the kicker. It's followed up by a very rough interaction with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, who is now retrograde. Again, our mental plane has kind of taken a backseat to our intuition. There's a lot of reflection, revision, restructuring, revisiting, recalibrating going on. We have to look back. We're in Aries energy, so we're looking back at the things that, typically speaking, we would like to burn down right now. Of course, we can't do that, but we would like to. Mercury is semi-squaring, so creating a little bit of tension and conflict with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. He is in Taurus energy. The reason why this is going to be difficult for us and definitely going to zap our central nervous system, so again, get yourself very aware of the ascension symptoms coming at us this week. This is going to be a kicker. Uranus rules over the highest form of our intellect, while Mercury rules over the lowest form of our intellect, and even the lowest form of our intellect isn't functioning properly because he's retrograde. Because this is the higher mind and the lower mind kind of, I'm going to say, battling it out, so to speak, it's going to add some head pressure. It's going to add some, let's call it central nervous system overload energy. It's not going to be fun. But here's the thing. There is a lot of rapid processing going on in our mental plane. Different thoughts, different ideas, reframing of different situations, trying to kind of, come to a certain term of acceptance with a lot of things that didn't go our way and prepare us for a lot of the things that we're excited to jump into, but we have a lot of hesitations about at this particular point in time as well. So first of all, communication is not working very well with Mercury's retrograde. So communication is going to be a little bit jittery, a little bit sporadic, a little bit out of the box, if you will. Our thought process is going to be wackadoodle, jumping all around, many windows, many tabs open in our brain. And our outlook is going to go from seeing the big picture to seeing the smaller details of why the big picture is never going to happen and back again. Now, here's the thing. There is an excitability that comes here because there's a lot of energy coursing through our headspace and coursing through our bodies. We are highly distractible. So like ADHD, squirrel brain on drugs. Okay. So again, there's that part, but there feels this feeling that we have to hurry up. Again, I talked about this in the Ascension forecast. We need to hurry up and wait. We have to hurry up and have patience. But because Mercury, again, is in a fire sign, there is this element where we want to rush. We want to hurry up. We want to decide. We want to complete something. We want to just, move on and move forward. We want to share an idea, even though the idea is not a complete thought. We want to communicate and express our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings, but we don't even understand them ourselves. So how are we going to articulate them correctly? And so, this is a half-assed energy. Nothing is going to be complete. The ideas aren't going to be complete. The conversations aren't going to be complete. The excitement isn't going to be complete. Nothing is going to come into a state of completion. And so wherever it is that you're kind of bored with the mundane, same old, we're going to want to revamp that in a really fast kind of way. We need to kind of keep ourselves mentally stimulated without overwhelming ourselves and burning out our brains. And that's going to be a very hard thing to manage. Now, lucky for us, about 20 minutes later, we have the moon in Scorpio energy, making this beautiful interaction with Neptune, who, of course, is in the final degrees of his rulership in Pisces energy. So again, this is water on water action. The water is going to kind of soothe us, calm us down from all of that electricity and fire coursing through our brains and our body. And then it's going to kind of refresh and renew the vision, the dream, the reason of why. Why are we doing all this? Why are we fighting for, what we believe in? Why are we fighting for what makes us happy? Why are we going through this healing process? There is a reminder and a refresher in our soul and in our spirit of why. And it's because our higher self is called to pursue greater things than just the old version of self's interpretation of what life and what reality should be. So this is going to turn up the volume on our emotions, turn up the volume on our intuition. We're definitely going to be receiving a lot of powerful insights, not only because of this interaction, but just because the moon in Scorpio, the sun in Pisces, nearing the end of the old astrological calendar, things are a poppin'. But of course, we have to take a dip in the energies. The moon in Scorpio is then going to make a very harsh interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who, of course, is currently retrograde in the underworld, beating herself up, breaking herself down so that she can review and revise and reassess her self-worth, her self-confidence, her self-esteem, and how that particular energy has created the relationship dynamics that she's currently contemplating, how it has created the financial situation that she's currently in, and really just revising her long-term goals. She's in Aries energy, and the one thing that Scorpio and Aries have in common is a common co-ruler. Of course, Mars is the, 100% ruler over the Aries energy. He co-rules with Pluto over the Scorpio energy. When I say to you that this is another trip down the darkest parts of memory lane, especially with our self-worth, especially realizing where it is that we gave our power away time and time again, and then had the audacity to be mad at the people that we gave the power to, that they didn't reciprocate. Again, this is a rebuilding of our version of self. And unfortunately for us at this particular point in time, we have to get harsh with ourselves. We have to throw ourselves back into the worst parts of our lives where relationship dynamics are concerned, where our self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem is concerned, because we have to learn unfortunately, we're humans, so we have to learn the hard way, where it is that we made those particular choices / mistakes, and where it is that they burned us so deeply and scarred us so deeply that we're still kind of healing from some of those pain and trauma wounds. And we have to very much be immersed in it and feel it, like really feel it, in order for us to heal it and in order for us to prevent ourselves from making the same kind of mistakes, the same kind of patterns and behaviors all over again. So is this going to feel good? No. Is it supposed to? Absolutely not. Is it going to reveal to us where it is that we got to get out of our own damn way, where it is that we have to do better because now we know better? Absolutely. And it is going to be a very, very intense heart activation. The moon in Scorpio then going to make a very uncomfortable interaction with Saturn, of course, and Pisces energy. So yes, this is water on water action, but it is a not so nice water action. This is like a hurricane. Okay. This is like an absolute shitstorm of emotion and intuition. And the reason of why we're going to get this harsh reality check coming from Mr. Saturn is because, again, we're holding on to a lot of the emotion that is still keeping a lot of the old world alive. So old relationships, old jobs, old choices, old environments, all of these old aspects that the old version of self has built and created. We know we've outgrown it, but for some reason, we still have this emotional attachment to it. And, Scorpio energy has a hard time letting things go. And even when they hurt, we, for whatever reason, like to hold on to them, remind us of that hurt and pain so that we don't make the same mistake again. But there's a major restructuring going on in our inner realm. It has to happen in order for us to detach from the old world and start building towards the new. So is it going to feel good? Absolutely not. Are we going to feel absolutely emotionally crushed, weighted down like we can't breathe? Yep, that is true. Again, another reason to stay ahead of the ascension symptoms. The moon in Scorpio then going to make a beautiful interaction with Jupiter, planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings in Gemini energy. So here's the thing about that. Jupiter plucks us out of that dark pit. Okay. Jupiter is the most optimistic planet that we have working for us when he's working for us. And he's going to show us that the pain, the discomfort that we just sat in is the most beautiful opportunity to boss up, to get your shit together, to grow, to evolve, to be the better version of self. Why? Because he's in Gemini energy. So we know better. We just haven't integrated it to actually do better. And so the one thing about Scorpio is that once we know better, we want to do better. Okay. We just don't want to be stuck in the funk anymore. We don't want to be stuck in the darkness. We want to, again, change our mind, evolve our mind, see the forest past the trees, understand where essentially we are making a choice to hold on to the dead horse, to the dead weight of the past. And this is highlighting for us where it is that we don't have to do those things. Why? Because Jupiter is magnifying those particular harsh parts of our existence, allowing us to pluck out the silver linings that, of course, we're going to integrate in this present moment, in the here and now, so that we can build off of them, grow with them, evolve from them. And it's a beautiful thing. Scorpio energy, just a reminder, is about change and transformation, turning that darkness into light, turning that pain into power. And once you have a different perspective, which of course the Gemini energy offers us, then you can do something about it, rapidly processing where it is that we've been choosing to hold on to dead weight, choosing to hold on to people, places, and things that, of course, allow us to reiterate the pain and trauma story that many of us are overly attached to. And now that we see a different perspective, now we get to choose whether or not we want to sit in that darkness, sit in that funk, be our own worst enemy, or rise up and rise above. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in the Scorpio energy, making a very uncomfortable interaction with Mercury. Mercury being ruler of the mental plane. He's retrograde, looking back. He's in his unconscious state, if you will, and he's in Aries energy. So again, Mars rules over the Aries energy and co-rules over the Scorpio energy. Mars, side note, he's over in the Cancer energy, trying to get his emotional shit together, trying to really kind of discern who and what is worthy of fighting, defending, protecting, and where he wants to pour his time, energy, and efforts into kind of building into something new. So we have our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury. They're not on the same page at all. First of all, Mercury being retrograde, he's in an unconscious state of awareness, meaning our intuition has more power over us than our intellect does, which again, Scorpio energy, all about intuition, all about the feels. However, there's a spiciness with Mercury being in Aries energy, whether he's retrograde or direct, doesn't matter. There is a want, need, and desire to burn down and burn through anything that is just making us uncomfortable or adding stress or pressure to us. We're reflecting back at similar situations of struggle, of challenge. And of course, we don't want to really look back in Aries energy. We just want to move on, move forward. So there's already a little bit of a conflict going on there. And the moon in Scorpio, we're just trying to boss up. Okay, we're trying to get our shit together. Yeah, there is a reflection back, but only to pluck out the motivational parts of the pain and trauma that we can use as a fuel and a fire to do better, to move on, to move forward. And so emotionally speaking, we're trying to go through this change, this transformation. Mercury's trying to rush us. He's also not making any sense because he is in a semi-drunken stupor. And the Scorpio energy just not having it. So there is this element, because again, when you add fire and water together, if there's too much fire, such as Mercury's bringing to the table, we're going to burn through our emotions and evaporate our emotions, which I know most people would love to do at this particular point in time, but we're in Pisces energy. We're at a very important point in the astrological calendar. We have to do the work, and that's what Scorpio energy wants to do. So right now there is more water energy in the elemental energy profile than there is fire. And when you have a lot more water than fire, you're going to put that fire out. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because we're not being supported in taking action, or we're not really being supported in initiating on anything. And that's what fire energy is supposed to do. So the discomfort that we are experiencing between our heart and our head, no joke, right? We're supposed to see this distance because this is the gap that we need to concentrate on to get in alignment. And that's what the final days of Pisces season are all about, is getting in alignment, recalibrating our mind, body, soul system so that when we move into Aries season and that equinox energy rebalances the karmic scales, we can move on and move forward in a state of wholeness, in a state of full completion.